Hey everyone, sitting here on this beautiful Saturday morning and working on something for one of our clients. It's a LinkedIn outreach funnel, and thought this may be really valuable if I were to give this to you all for free. So I'm going to do that. So basically, what this funnel does is this allowed this client or will allow this client to bring in 6 new clients at $30,000 a month recurring revenue with absolutely zero ad spend. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm going to give you this funnel at the end. So if you want this, just DM me at the end and I'll make sure you get this, the PDF of this, as well as the PDF of the process on how we build this. So with no further ado, I'll get into it. Obviously, we all know being on LinkedIn it's a powerful platform. I mean, you've got decision makers here. You've got, all kinds of people that are interacting. You can see who they are, who they work for, their titles, what they're interested in, where they've been in the past. It's just a really powerful platform. And so if you plan your outreach correctly, and you're not pesky and annoying, then LinkedIn can be really, really powerful as a sales tool. So one of the things that we do for clients is build out their sales processes and outreach funnels specifically in LinkedIn. And so I wanted to show you kind of one of those today. This specific funnel is for one of our clients that's actually trying to reach advertising and marketing agency owners. They have a unique development product that is stateside and can be used by agencies to kind of help streamline and make their development processes more efficient. So that's who we built this out for. But this will literally work for anyone. We use this same funnel a lot for financial companies, brokers, sales reps, BDOs. So this can be really useful and beneficial for them as well, or pretty much anybody. So obviously, when you're looking at LinkedIn, you've got to think about who you're reaching. So the first thing you're going to want to do is research your audience. Who are you trying to reach? In this case, it was agency owners, and it was a very specific set of agency owners. We were looking for executives, specifically agency owners, but we did dabble and move over into more of the high level executives at some agencies. But you're really going to want to research your audience, get it tight. I'll do another video at some point on how to actually do the searches in LinkedIn and get better at doing that so you can target a little bit better. After you've done your research on your audience, you're going to want to craft your messaging. And so I'll show you that just here in a minute. And then, of course, after you're done crafting your messages and deciding how to bring value to your client, then you're going to want to build your sequences out, and then you launch your campaign. So a lot of people, will ask about software. What do you use to do this? This can be done with any LinkedIn automation software pretty much, or it can be done manually if you have time to do that, which I don't know if anybody does anymore. But you can fire this manually if you're trying to really reach a small group of people, or maybe you have, more of an account-based marketing approach where you're really going after 4 or 5 key clients. You could probably do this manually, but we do suggest automating this. And so the next couple days, week 1, whatever you want to call it, you're going to focus on your audience, who you're trying to reach, what do they look like. Second, you're going to focus on your messaging. What are the pain points that your audience deals with on a daily basis? And then you're going to try to figure out how can I bring value to these people? And a lot of times people will think, well, my product brings value, I don't need to bring value. That couldn't be further from the truth. Yes, your product might bring value, but how can you bring value to these people outside of your product? What content can you give them? What have you found useful that you can share with them? Anything to bring value so that you're not just another salesperson out there, trying to gain a foothold. After that, we're going to build out the sequence, and that's what I'm going to show you here in our funnel software. So obviously, once we have our audience, and in this case, it was a pretty large audience of 1,500 people, the first thing we're going to do is send an invitation to your main audience. And that invitation really needs to consist of just an introduction, very simple, mention their name. Hey, so-and-so, notice we're both in the banking marketing space in this case, and wanted to reach out, and connect. And that's pretty much as simple as it gets. You just want to make sure you mention their name and make sure that they understand, what industry they're in. Anything more than that, and it's not even going to show up in their invites because LinkedIn cuts most of it off, and most people don't even hit that more to find out what that message says. So keep it really short and simple. What we're going to do from there is we're going to wait a day. We got to wait for them to connect first. So once they connect with us, or once they accept that invite, we typically wait a day. And then once we've let that kind of sit for a day, we'll send our first message. And that first message is going to be the introduction to who you are, and a little bit about yourself, and kind of really soft, not salesy. This is where we see the most mistakes made by most people that reach out on LinkedIn, is they immediately go to the sale, and try to, they've got them now, they've accepted their invite, and now they just want to pounce. And that's just not going to work. And so we've had people come to us and say, oh, LinkedIn messaging doesn't work. We take a look at their messages. They literally send one message, and it's basically dumping the product on them and trying to book a call or demo on that first message. Put yourself in, the other person's shoes. Would you actually do that? I think the answer to that is no. You really want to know a little bit more about this person, if they're real, what the product is. Not a lot of responses on the first attempt. We do get some because we've written it well, but most of the time people want to know, is this an automation? Are they going to continue to try to connect with me? So that first message goes out. We wait 3 days. If they do not respond to that, then we will send a second message. If they do respond, then we basically have 2 different response templates set up here. Most of the time, you're going to get one of 2 responses. Your first response is going to be, yes, send me more product information, if you happen to be asking for that. Or you're going to get, tell me a little bit more about yourself, or they might have a question. So it's a very soft response. To that, we have this response 1 template. And response number 2, and I mislabeled that. Change that real quick. Response number 2 is actually something a little bit more direct. So if someone says, has anything out of the box that is not something that we expect, that's going to be response 2 in this case. And I can go a little bit more into that on another video, what those responses are and how they come in. But we typically set up 2 responses. If it's completely out of the box and we don't know how to answer it, then we typically fire it back over to the client and let them handle it manually. But in this case, you're probably doing this yourself, so you'll know how to respond to those. So that second message is typically just a follow-up that says, hey, just following up on my last message, let me know if you have a time to meet, or let me know if, we're not supposed to be asking that in the first message. So let me know if you received my first message, something that just kind of follows up and asks them to look back at that first message. So this is where we get majority of our responses, is this second message with just a simple follow-up to make sure they receive the first message. And the reason for that is because of what I said earlier. Most salespeople try to go in for the sale on the first message. And so if they don't get a response, most people aren't expecting a second message. And I don't exactly have the stats on this, but there is a graphic out there that basically states, the percentage of responses that are made based on the amount of times you've reached out. And by far, on the 5th and 6th response, or excuse me, the 5th and 6th message is where the most responses happen. So as we move, we're going to see more and more of this. We tend to see most of our messages on that 3rd, 4th message in LinkedIn, but traditionally they say 5 or 6. So that second message is just a follow-up, trying to get them to understand that you're a real person, and you're just following up to see if they received the first message. So obviously, with LinkedIn not being a platform that people are on every day, especially busy, entrepreneurs and executives, we're going to give them some time to respond. And so we allow 4 days for the response and move into that 3rd message. If they don't respond, we're going to move into that 3rd message. And the 3rd message, again, is another quick follow-up that just says, hey, reaching out one more time, check and see if you received my message as a reminder. And then you're going to put, whatever was in that first message. Again, if they respond, we're going to move them out of the funnel. If they do not respond, we're going to give them a little bit more time 5 days. And then we're going to send what we call the final content message. And this final content message is basically a message that has a really valuable piece of content in it. And this lets them know, hey, look, I'm not just looking for a sale. I'm really looking to bring value to you. So even if you don't respond and you happen to be reading these, here's a great piece of content that I think could help you out. And that's kind of the sign off. So that message typically starts with, hey, I noticed you haven't responded. You may or may not be getting these. I'm going to go ahead and reach out via email, and I'll show you how that works here in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and try to reach out via email. In the meantime, here's a piece of content that I think you might find valuable. Hopefully it helps in some way. I'm not a copywriter, so that's not the best way to put it, but you get the point. We fire that message off. And then what we do is we connect with another outreach software, Limlist or something along those lines. And we will actually pull that email from LinkedIn and into one of those softwares. And we will reach out if LinkedIn allows us to pull that email, which we find about 75%, 80% of the time, we can find that email through LinkedIn. We'll pull that email, put that into our email software, fire out an email. And that email simply states, hey, I've been trying to reach you on LinkedIn. Would still love to chat. I sent you a piece of content on there. Thought I'd throw it in here too. Hopefully it's valuable for you. Let me know if you have time to connect. And what that email does, and this email is incredibly effective. What this email does is let them know, you got to remember LinkedIn, while it's a valuable platform and it's really powerful, some people don't get on there every day. So at this point, if they haven't been on there, that's going to let them know we've been trying to connect with them on LinkedIn. And if they go look at their LinkedIn, they're going to see that. Very, very few people take the time to send messages like this. So anyone that doubted when you sent this first message, if you were real, has no doubt now, after they got this email, that you are a real person that's trying to reach them in some way. So as we move down the funnel, the obvious for this particular one, I should say, the obvious goal here is an appointment set. We're trying to get an appointment set on the calendar where we can talk to a decision maker and get in front of them with the product, the service, the demo, whatever that might be. And so what we do is if they've hit this appointment page and they do not book a time on the calendar, typically what we'll do is throw them into a retargeting funnel on Facebook, Instagram, and Google Ads. We don't currently do LinkedIn follow-up funnels. We do for some clients, not this particular client. It's kind of expensive, so we've gone this route because we want to hit them everywhere but LinkedIn, since we're already hitting them on there, to try to get them back to that calendar page. If we can get them back to that calendar page and get them booked through that retargeting is very cheap. And so that's a great and effective way to get people back into the funnel and booked. And then obviously the goal at the end of this is, how many people can we get to actually book a demo for the product, service, whatever, and get something closed. This particular client, we are reaching out to 1,500 people each month, and you can kind of see how it flows through here. That would actually give us basically 45 booked appointments when you include retargeting in these efforts. And at the end of the month, this client should have 6 new clients based on this. And this is a very conservative funnel as well. So 6 new clients, and that's going to bring them $30,000 in recurring revenue just from those 6 clients. So if they do this month over month, that's going to bring $30,000 in recurring revenue from this one simple funnel. And so this is why LinkedIn outreach is so powerful, but it has to be done right, and it has to be done in a certain sequence, but it can be done. So anyway, once again, if you want this, DM me, I'll shoot it over to you, and you're free to use this however you want. If you have any questions about it, feel free to DM me as well, and I'll chat later. Have a great weekend.